Hello guys, a very good morning to you. I am Shailender Singh and today we'll be doing PIB daily summary analysis for 3rd of December 2020. Yesterday we did the first part, tomorrow we are going to do the second. Those of you who missed out on the first part, please go through that. That is also very important as the session for today is going to be important as well. Alright, so everybody, a very good morning to you once again. Good morning Pankaj. So guys, these are some of the topics that we are going to cover in the class today. First is India, US signing Memorandum of Understanding on IP cooperation. Then ADB, Asian Development Bank, which has signed a 50 million loan to boost West Bengal's digital platform for public finance reforms. Then we have 6th BRICS Youth Summit, International Day of Persons with Disabilities, National Jal Jeevan Mission team visits West Bengal. So these are the 5 topics that we are going to cover today in the class, and we'll be talking about the various facets related to all these development, the associated facts and policies and schemes related to all these events that we are going to cover today in the class. All right, let's come to the first topic, guys. India US signing Memorandum of Understanding on Intellectual Property Cooperation. A very important development took place recently, which is the signing of Memorandum of Understanding between India and US on intellectual property cooperation. Now guys, you know that intellectual property rights happen to be a very big topic as far as the rather friction point between India and the US over the last couple of years, and that is why we need to work in the direction of cooperation of intellectual property and to come to a point of convergence wherein we can understand each other's perspective. And for this reason, we have the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry. So this department, that is Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade, comes under Ministry of Commerce and Industry, and that has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with regard to intellectual property cooperation with the US Patent and Trademark Office, that is USPTO, which is under Department of Commerce from US. Now, a very important thing over here is to understand that the patenting of the Indian intellectual property rights and all of that sphere comes under the Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. Now this is something that can be asked in the form of a question to you in your prelims as to the patents and geographical indication and all these things like trademark, copyright, etc. they fall under which ministry. So which ministry is responsible for providing IP rights in India? And you now know that is Ministry of Commerce. To be more precise, it is Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. This is a department and this is the ministry. So please remember, Indian Patents Office जो है वो इस department के अंदर में आता है और इस ministry के under में आता है. So this is the development that they have signed this Memorandum of Understanding in the field of IP rights, and as I said, it remains, the IP rights remain a big friction point between the relations of US and India as far as the economic domain is concerned. In fact, for the last couple of years, this concern was there during the Obama regime. They took it up with the Indian administration. Then successively it was Donald Trump's regime and administration. They also took it up with the Indian government. So this continues to remain a sore point, a bone of contention between these two countries, and this is why this development is very relevant, very pertinent, so that it would allow us to come together and cooperate and coordinate as far as the IP rights are concerned. So I can see quite a few new guys over here who joined in the session. Anu, a very good morning to you. Shrikutan, good morning. Manisha, Pradeep, Anupam, everybody, a very pleasant morning. Now guys, let's see what happened in this Memorandum of Understanding. What are the contents as far as this MOU is concerned? First is facilitating exchange and dissemination of best practices and knowledge on IP among the public. So first of all, it's the facilitating of exchange and the best practices. So what are the best practices related to the field of IPR? Some data, some information between the public of these two countries and among the public, among the industry, universities, R&D organization and SMEs, because Apart from the public sector, there is also this big private sector which has a very important role to play in the intellectual property rights, in patenting. And then there is the universities, because universities, especially in the US, you know that the US industries like MIT and all those top-notch industry universities are there. They play a very important role in filing patents and these trademarks and copyright, and that is why the role of universities also becomes very important. Unfortunately, in the case of India, universities don't play that active a role as far as the IP rights are concerned, as far as the patenting application for patents is concerned, but we need to do more on that front. We need to learn from US, and this is why it is saying that dissemination of best practices and knowledge and exchange as well. So this is what we need to learn from the US universities, US R&D organization, in fact SMEs also, small and medium enterprises. So this is something that India can learn from them, and India at the same point can know the concern of the US industry as far as the IP regime in the country is concerned, so that the friction between these two countries can be lessened. The second point is collaboration in training programs, exchange of experts, technical exchanges and outreach activities. Naturally, we need to reach out to each other, we need to exchange those the best practices, the knowledge, the technical exchange, and this is how we are going to benefit. So it's going to be a mutually beneficial relationship. Then we have exchange of information, best practices on processes for registration and examination of application for patents, trademark, copyright, GIs. Now guys, you know that intellectual property rights, that's like a big broad umbrella term, and under it we have various kind of facets. We have patents, we have trademarks, we have copyrights, we have geographical indication, industrial design. So these are the various form of intellectual property rights that are granted under the TRIPS agreement. TRIPS, TRIPS agreement. TRIPS agreement, that is trade related aspects of industry intellectual property rights. इन इस agreement के अंदर में ये सारी जो चीजें हैं, तो आपको याद रखना है TRIPS agreement के अंदर में IPR regime है वो आता है. And as far as this particular thing, geographical indication is concerned, you know that we have this Geographical Indications of Goods Act of 1999 in accordance with the commitments under TRIPS agreement. So we have Geographical Indications of Goods Act 1999. You know, this is the GI Act of India that was legislated with regard to TRIPS agreement in view. And guys, you also need to know what are the various products that are contained in the GI list of India. What are the various products, because we have like 300 plus around 400 products, and these various items that are there which are GI tagged, that have been granted GI protection. And you also need to, so that is your homework by the way, so you need to find about it on your own. That is your homework, because such things are usually asked by UPSC. If you have gone through UPSC previous year's question papers, they have asked whether these products, the following products, and they would be like various options, they fall under GI protection or not. Also guys, can somebody tell me that which was the first Indian GI tagged product? That's the question for you guys, and let me check your knowledge level. Which was the first product that was GI tagged, that was given GI protection in the country? So those of you who have just joined, a very good morning to you once again. Priya, Manisha, Mir Mohsin, Jonith Kumar, Rimi Shaw, everybody a good morning. Right, so we have some answers coming in, and that's right, Shrikutan, as usual, you are right over here. Tea, Anupam, you could be more precise. Yes, you are also right, but you could be more precise by saying Darjeeling tea, because you know the tea is grown in northeastern part of the country. Apart from Darjeeling, it is grown in Assam also, parts of Arunachal Pradesh also. Then we have South India also, in southern part we grow some tea, right? So you have to be more precise. And Priya, yes, Priya is right, absolutely. So it's Darjeeling tea that was granted this GI tag for the first time. So it happens to be the first product. As such, a very important fact you need to know. Those of you who are not aware about this, John is Darjeeling tea. Fantastic. Then we have cooperation on various issues related to traditional knowledge, including those related to traditional knowledge databases and awareness raising on the use of IP systems for the protection of traditional knowledge. Now, this is another friction point, by the way, as far as the broad umbrella term of IPR regime is concerned. Then we have various friction points, and by the way, many of these US companies, they have time and again tried to take advantage of Indian traditional knowledge. They have tried to monopolize the Indian traditional knowledge of the local communities, of the indigenous communities, of the tribal communities, and they have filed patents, they have achieved patents, and this is how they try to, the big US corporates, the notorious ones, they try to monopolize the traditional knowledge of these developing countries, especially the marginal communities like tribals, etc., that have their own traditional knowledge, well-developed traditional knowledge. In many cases they have, and this is something called a biopiracy. Biopiracy, that is commercial exploitation or monopolization of the traditional knowledge, which could be the genetic resources, which could be, let's say, the medicinal plants, and the use of the monopolization of this traditional knowledge is called biopiracy. That is done by the big multinational companies. Generally they are the Western companies, especially the US. So we have this couple of examples, by the way, as far as the biopiracy is concerned. For example, the fungicidal usage of neem tree, this is one such example. Then we have the patenting of some strains of basmati rice. So this is another sort of biopiracy. So we need to have a mechanism wherein we are cooperating and coordinating on the issues related to traditional knowledge, because naturally it will lead to friction between the relations of two countries. If the companies from US are monopolizing this sort of traditional knowledge that is in usage in India for like hundreds and thousands of years, isn't it? So this is another thing that they are talking about. Now guys, to add on to it, apart from this thing, there is one very important point I would like to make. So there is something called Special 301 report. Special 301 report. Is somebody aware about this Special 301 report, or can somebody tell me which is the body which publishes this Special 301 report and what is related to? Because this is really very important, which this report actually directs the policy of the US government as far as the IP regime in India is concerned. So on the basis of this report, it happens to be a very powerful report, recommendation type of advisory kind of report, which decides, which actually has a deciding factor as to what kind of policy the US government would take with regard to IP regime in India. So this USTR, absolutely Anupam, fantastic. USTR, Office of USTR, United States Trade Representative. This is the body, Office of United States Trade Representative. So trade represent all these companies, they have the representations, and this is like a body for them. So this Office of USTR that publishes this annual report in the form of Special 301 report, in which the names of those countries wherein the IP regimes are weak, they are published. So it's a kind of list of defaulters, and India consistently over the last couple of years, for many years, India is featured in this Special 301 report, and that too in the category of countries with highest concern, that is the priority watch list. So priority watch list may feature hota hai India consistently with China and with other countries, and there is a lot of concern regarding the weak IP legislation in the country, weak enforcement in the country, and the US companies, they are not able to get those kind of IP protection as per their report. Otherwise, Indian government also does have a genuine and legitimate point, because we also need to see that we are a developing country. Not everybody can access the high prices of pharma products, because a lot of these pharmaceutical companies, they try to patent their product and kind of try to evergreen them. So there is something called evergreening. So they try to evergreen their patents through one way or the other. So this is the kind of overall information that we have to discuss under the IP regime, and these are the various facts that you should be knowing, like Special 301 report, who publishes it, then the priority watch list, then evergreening, then GI indications, what are the various GI tagged products in the country. So this is the gamut of the facts and associated things that you need to understand as far as the intellectual property rights are concerned. Yes, I can see that a couple of you also answered that it was USTR. So till then it was only Anupam, but then it was followed by Shrikutan, who also says USTR, followed by Priya, and Jonith also says USTR, and Vijay Chaudhary saying good morning to you, to me, and I also say good morning to you. Vinod, a very good morning to you indeed, and welcome to the class. Now let's move on to the next topic of the day, that is ADB India signed, ADB, Asian Development Bank signed a $50 million loan to boost West Bengal's digital platforms for public finance reforms. So let's see what is the development, what is the context. Asian Development Bank and the GOI today signed a $50 million policy-based loan to improve financial management procedures. So basically it is talking about this sort of loan that has been granted to improve financial management procedures and operational efficiencies, which will lead to fiscal savings. Fiscal saving, fiscal saving has been one of the core agenda of the successive governments, but they are not very successful on that front, right? Then we have promote informed decision making and improve service delivery. Service delivery is also one of the important aspects of governance. So basically, if you see that this development on the whole is related to governance, or rather a higher version of it called good governance. Good governance, because when we are talking about governance, we are talking about the general governance, but when we are talking about good governance, we are talking about those important factors that will lead to better service delivery for the citizen, to make sure that the schemes and the various policies that the government enacts and implements, they are actually translated into the ground in an expeditious manner, and the overall galvanization of the socio-economic development of the country that can be expedited. So this is what this overall context is all about, and let's see some of the important facts associated with this. Now, what is the objective of this loan? The objective is to development of those projects that could be better tracked. So development projects could be better tracked with the help of this loan, and monitored with the help of a new module within the integrated financial management system. So integrated financial management system is that system. Basically it is kind of having this budgetary management tracking. It is having the expenditure management tracking, what kind of impact the expenditures are creating on the ground, because guys, generally the focus of the governments has been to control budget, to see wherein the budget is being utilized in a right manner. But we have to also see whether the provisions, the service deliveries, they are creating this impact on the ground or not. This is what I was talking about when I was talking about good governance. It is just not enough to have a budgetary component for a particular scheme. Let's say if we talk about Swachh Bharat Abhiyan, there is this random XYZ figure, alright? So there is rupees XYZ, that has been allotted to Swachh Bharat Abhiyan. Now, that Swachh Bharat Abhiyan's budgetary component I have utilized on the ground, but I can't see much changes, right? So people are not benefiting, or whatever the structures or infrastructure I have created on the ground that is suboptimal and that is not sustainable in the longer term. So I am not having any return on my investment. And that is why this integrated financial management system comes into picture, that it will make sure that you not only have the expenditure, but you also have return for your money. For every rupee that you are spending, we are also getting something in return. We are getting the promotion of social welfare. We are getting this economic empowerment of the people, especially of marginal communities. So this is what integrated financial management system is all about. So it's basically a kind of system that tracks how the money is being spent, what are the various sources of revenues, and how effectively we can utilize the money. So basically it deals with the income part and the expenditure part as well. A Center for Fiscal Policy and Public Finance will be established to deepen capacity of the state government. So there will be a Center for Fiscal Policy. Naturally, whatever we are talking about, that is related to fiscal policy and public finance. And we here under this are creating something called as Center for Fiscal Policy and Public Finance. Basically, it will deepen the capacity of state government officials, because ultimately the capacity of state government officials, or be it any government official at the central level also, that needs to be strengthened. We need to impart them more skills. We need to give them more training, because ultimately capacity अगर उनकी build आप नहीं करेंगे तो ground level पे service delivery अच्छी नहीं होगी. So how are we going to ensure that the service delivery on the ground, the government officials at the grassroots level who are delivering service to the people, or those government officials at the top who are formulating the policies, who are overlooking and monitoring and coordinating the projects, that coordination, monitoring, execution part is robust. For that, we need capacity building of the state government officials. Because स्टेट गवर्नमेंट ऑफिशियल लेवल पे, स्टेट गवर्नमेंट लेवल पे कहीं ना कहीं कैपेसिटी उतनी अच्छी नहीं दिखती है एज कंपेयर टू द सेंट्रल लेवल, isn't it? So this is another focus. And then the loan would help in establishing successful e-governance systems for improved revenue administration, expenditure rationalization, as I just said, that return on investment. So expenditure rationalization, अगर जितना भी हम spend कर रहे हैं वो prudent है, वो impact कर रहा है ground level पे या नहीं कर रहा. So this is something that will happen, and promote the private sector involvement in service delivery. So private sector को भी कहीं ना कहीं वो incentivize करेगा to involve itself in the service delivery and to complement and supplement the effort of the government. All right. So let's talk about Asian Development Bank, some of the important themes, because UPSC does ask you a lot of these questions related to these bodies and related to banks and the institutions, and as such Asian Development Bank happens to be a very important institution which was created in 1966 with a view to promote regional development of the APAC region, Asia Pacific region, and another goal is to end extreme poverty in the Asia Pacific region. So one is to promote economic development, and the second facet is to end extreme poverty. Now, can somebody tell me where are the headquarters of ADB located? This is a question for you. Some other associated facts are that ADB right now has 68 members. Now ADB started with 31 countries. So 31 countries were the initial members, and India being one of the founding countries, by the way, of this ADB. One of the founding countries India is. This is also something you need to remember. 49 are from within Asia, and it's not that only Asian countries are allowed membership. The developed non-Asian countries can also participate over here. They can also be members, and that is why you see that only 49 countries are from Asia and the rest they are from non-Asian region. As far as the shareholding is concerned, this is also something that you need to remember. I am sure that you guys are taking down some sort of notes, because note making is also very important over here. अगर आप note making नहीं कर रहे हैं, because naturally all these facts would not be retained by you in the medium term, so you can make some important notes. For example, ADB's 5 largest shareholders are Japan and United States, each with roughly about the same number of shares, same percentage of total shares. followed by China, followed by India. So you can see that India is the fourth largest shareholder in the Asian Development Bank, followed by Australia. So India was one of the founding members and as such has this big influence in ADB and also the largest recipient of its loans. So this was all about ADB. And yes, so I had asked you a question. Let me see how many of you were able to answer it. My question was, where are the headquarters of ADB located? And I was looking for some precise answer, though many of you are right, absolutely right, and you've done a fantastic job. So people are aware about the location of ADB, of ADB's headquarter, but you have to be more precise. And I'm sure that you know the capital Philippines. So Shrikutan has said Philippines, likewise Anupam, Priya, Anu, Vasu, yes. Absolutely. So this is Philippines and the capital being Manila. So Manila में located है Asian Development Bank. And by the way, Japan is the most dominant country as far as the ADB is concerned, because अभी तक जितने भी प्रेसिडेंट हुए हैं, बने हैं ADB के, Asian Development Bank के, the president has traditionally been Japanese. So हमेशा Japanese रहता है, because you know Japan has got one of the largest shareholding in the ADB. Along with US, so that is why it's the dominance of Japan that is reflected in ADB. Let's come to the next topic of the day, guys, which is 6th BRICS Youth Summit. Recently, the Union Minister of Youth Affairs and Sports from Arunachal Pradesh, you know, it's a matter of great pride for everybody, all the Indians, that somebody is from the extreme part, I mean the northeastern part of the country, the easternmost part of the country, Mr. Kiren Rijiju, he is the Union of Minister of Sports Affairs, Youth Affairs and Sports. He attended the 6th BRICS Youth Summit and meeting of BRICS ministers through a virtual program on 1st of December. So this is the development, and let's see what we can gather more from this context, from this development. Now you have to remember the theme, because themes are also asked a lot of times in the exam. The theme for this year's BRICS Youth Summit was BRICS Challenges of the Time for Young People. This is the theme, and please don't take it lightly. Themes भी पूछी जाती हैं, पूछी गई हैं. Probably if you've gone through the previous year's papers, you might have some idea. That is why I intentionally put it over here. So challenges of the youth for young people, this is the theme for this year. And the objective of the summit was to engage BRICS youth on policies and programs that seek to address young people's challenges and empowering them. Because if we are not empowering the young people of a country, naturally it is leading to something called as demographic disaster. And if you are empowering the young people of the country, if you are investing in their health, if you are investing in their education, if you are investing in their skills, then it will lead to demographic dividend that India is poised to attain. And this is how countries transition. Countries do become from a low income country to one of the leading powers of the world. And as far as this summit is concerned, guys, Mr. Kiren Rijiju has specifically pointed out the role that was played by the Indian youth in dealing with the COVID pandemic, in fighting with the COVID-19 pandemic in the country, in the kind of volunteering of about 1 million young Indians who volunteered to help out the aged, the sick, the disabled, and they played a very important role in kind of dealing with helping the government deal with the COVID-19 pandemic. So he has lauded the role of the youth of the country as far as the COVID-19 pandemic is concerned. So this is the development that took place recently, and this is all about it. Yes, as far as the BRICS is concerned, by the way, so what is another takeaway for us is that what are the associated facts related to BRICS? Because it's not important to only focus on this development, but also the background of some of the associated facts. We need to delve and dig more into the associated facts and terminologies and phrases. For example, BRICS. Now, can we question ourselves? Can we ask ourselves, when was BRICS founded? When was BRICS, BRIC turned into BRICS? When was BRICS made this terminology? When was South Africa added to this BRIC? Who was the person who coined this term BRICS? And what is the bank that was founded by these BRICS countries? So these are the important questions that we need to ask ourselves, and this is how we prepare holistically for the exam, and this is what is the importance of PIB as a very important source of UPSC preparation for you. Now the BRIC was founded, initially it was BRIC, by the way, it was founded in 2009 में फर्स्ट इनका समिट हुआ था, और फर्स्ट समिट कहाँ पे हुआ था ये भी आपको पता होना चाहिए. फर्स्ट समिट रशिया में हुआ था. फर्स्ट समिट ऑफ ब्रिक कंट्रीज. Till then, South Africa was not there. It was only Brazil, Russia, India, and China. In 2009, in Russia, the summit took place, and later on, South Africa was also added. When in 2010, 2010, South Africa was also added, and so BRIC became BRICS. And this terminology was coined by a very leading and renowned economist of Goldman Sachs. This is a very big investment company. His name is Jim O'Neill. So his name is Jim O'Neill. This is the name of the economist who turned this acronym of BRICS. And in 2014, the BRICS countries, they decided to found this new development bank. New development bank in 2014, and it was finally established in 2015. So this is another important fact related to BRICS countries. And by the way, these BRICS countries, they are the emerging countries. They are very important engines of growth of the world, and they have a huge clout as far as the GDP of the world is concerned, their share of GDP of the world, because they happen to represent roughly about 1/4 of the GDP of the world, roughly about 25%. Itna inka GDP hai, and they have like 40% of the world population, 27% of world landmass. So you see that these are the big numbers associated with the BRICS, and cumulatively, in a collective manner, they are a force to reckon with. And this is why this organization becomes very, very important for us. This is the driving engine for the world's growth. Now let's come to the next topic of the day, that is 3rd December every year is observed as International Day of Persons with Disabilities. So 3rd of December, that is yesterday, it is observed every year as the International Day of Persons with Disabilities. So you should remember this. Governments का काफ़ी focus रहता है as far as the PWD, persons with disabilities, or Divyangjans, they are also known as unpe, and you might expect a question on this theme any year. So this is something that you need to know and remember. About this day, International Day of Persons with Disabilities, IDPD, is annually observed on 3rd of December. Now guys, एक तो ये है fact that 3rd of December को annually observe किया जाता है. Another fact related to this is that it was initiated in 1992. The observance of this day as this International Day of Persons with Disabilities, the decision to observe this as IDPD, it was taken in 1992 by UNG, United Nations General Assembly. In 1992 decided that we would have something called as International Day of Persons with Disabilities, as a kind of tribute to them, number one, and as a way of kind of spreading more awareness with regard to the challenges and difficulties these persons or people with disabilities or differently abled people, they face in their day-to-day life, the kind of discrimination they face, and so that the governments in all the countries of the world, they can specifically pay attention to this vulnerable section of the society, to make sure that they are more educated, to make sure that they are given equal access to employment, and all these things that make sure that their life is also at par with the life of the rest of the citizens, and they are not discriminated in any way. So 1992 में शुरुआत हुई थी, 3 दिसंबर को ये ऑब्जर्व किया जाता है टू प्रमोट फुल एंड इक्वल पार्टिसिपेशन ऑफ दिव्यांगजन्स एंड फॉर द इंक्लूजन इन ऑल एस्पेक्ट्स ऑफ सोसाइटी एंड डेवलपमेंट, सो दैट दे आर नॉट एक्सक्लूडेड फ्रॉम द सोसाइटी, बिकॉज as per United Nations, the number of Divyangjans or persons with disabilities, can you imagine, can you guess how much it could be? It's not 1 crore, it's not 10 crore, it's 1 billion. So 1 billion humanity, and I know that this is a very astonishing figure. Even I myself was astonished when I learned about this fact. So 1 billion people are persons with disabilities, and that is why we can't afford to ignore such a large section of humanity. It would not only be doing injustice to them, but it will be also a sort of crime against humanity. It will be a violation of human rights, and this is why it is the moral duty of the government to make sure that these people are also focused upon. And in view of this, the government of India has been focusing upon them, and the government of India launched something called Accessible India campaign. Accessible India campaign. I hope that you guys are aware about Accessible India campaign, and if you are not, please do find more about Accessible India campaign. What are the facts related to this? बहुत important हो जाता है whenever we are talking about PWDs or Divyangjans, and we are not talking about Accessible India campaign. As far as India is concerned, then you are not doing justice to the theme. Please do check out more about Accessible India campaign. For information, it was launched on 3rd December only, but in 2015 by the government of India, to make sure that they have this non-discriminatory environment. They have access to the environment in the form of access to the public buildings and all these structures and other facets it has. So Accessible India campaign की शुरुआत 2015 में की थी, and please do check out more about it. And also there was another act that was legislated, by the way, Rights of Person with Disabilities Act in 2016. So the next year the government legislated something called Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act in 2016, and it has also got those various facets with regard to the empowerment of persons with disabilities, or Divyangjans as the government of India has been calling them. So we have quite a few students over here. Good morning, sweetie. Never mind if you are late in the class. You can always check out this portion that has been left, that you missed out maybe after the class. And yes, it was replaced. Yes, it replaced PW Act of 1995. Fantastic, Anupam. So that means that you are aware about this topic, and happens to be a very, very important theme for UPSC. So that's great. I'm glad that you already know something about it. And Anu is also saying that headquarter of NDB. Yes, so Anu, yes, that is something very important. आपको ये भी पता होना चाहिए. Those of you who are not aware, Anu is mentioning over here in the chat box that the headquarter of NDB, the New Development Bank, is Shanghai, and that's indeed correct, and you should know this as well. Let's talk about another theme, the next theme of the day. Alright, so this is basically about this persons with disabilities wala jo context that we were talking about. The theme of this year, the 3rd December का जो theme था, इस साल का पूरा theme था, वो है building back better toward a disability inclusive, accessible and sustainable post COVID-19 world, because COVID-19 pandemic has actually taken a very disproportionate toll on the people with disabilities, on the Divyangjans, as far as the overall impact of COVID-19 on the population is concerned. इनके accessibility challenges है, environment challenges होते हैं, accessing buildings, and then already they have like those certain disabilities, and there is mobility issues, so employment issues are also there. So by the way, so COVID-19 pandemic has taken a lot of toll on them, and this is why the governments need to make sure that they are kind of focusing on this particular vulnerable section to deal with the impact of COVID-19 pandemic, and this is why the theme was taken as such, to kind of underline the importance of the government should lay upon this particular section so that they are not feeling the pinch of COVID-19 pandemic. Let's move to another topic of the day, which is National Jal Jeevan Mission team visits West Bengal to provide technical assistance to the state to realize the goal of Har Ghar Jal by 2023-2024. So this is the topic, and let's see what is the context. What is the context in which we are talking about Jal Jeevan Mission? We are talking about West Bengal, and we are talking about 2023 and 24 as the target year. A team of 4 members from National Jal Jeevan Mission is visiting West Bengal from 2nd to 4th of December 2020 to provide technical assistance to the state to realize the goal of Har Ghar Jal under the flagship program, that is this program, National Jal Jeevan Mission, as well as the identify different issues and challenges. So basically it will technically assist the state government officials at the ground level, and it will also identify what are the various challenges and issues with regard to the implementation of this flagship program of the government, because this scheme is very, very important in the context of the supply of running tap water connection to the rural areas, because in the rural areas especially it is the women and girls who have to particularly face this challenge personally also, and from a family point of view also, because it is they that have to carry miles altogether to fetch water, and it has been seen in many parts of the country. Even today it remains a very big challenge. Every morning women of the household, they have to travel miles altogether, they have to walk miles altogether to fetch water, and this is why the government of India decided to launch this mission, which is National Jal Jeevan Mission. But before talking about this mission as a whole, let's talk about some details about this particular development that we are talking about over here. The team is visiting different parts of the state and interacting with field level officials as well as Gram Pradhans and members of Gram Panchayat, because naturally we have to work with the local level officials. The local level officials will be the kind of executing people, and we have to also take into confidence the Gram Pradhan and members of Gram Panchayats. All these stakeholders the government is consulting with, it is interacting with them, and it is also interacting and having meeting with the district administration, that is district collectors. उनसे भी बात हो रही है, उनसे meeting हो रही है, उनका point of view understand कर रहे हैं, and they are also trying to find out, this team is trying to find out that what are the various challenges, technical or otherwise, that the government officials are facing at the ground level, और किस तरीके से हम उस चीज को weed out कर सकते हैं, all those problems that are being faced by the government officials, by the field level people, by the members of these gram panchayats, and also sabka, all the stakeholders are being consulted, and the solutions are being provided in a very customized manner, because these teams are actually not visiting West Bengal only, they are visiting other states also. For example, recently another team has visited the state of Jharkhand, and likewise these teams are going to different states, because this scheme, it's basically a joint effort of the central government and the state governments. स्टेट गवर्नमेंट और सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट दोनों काम कर रही हैं स्कीम पे, दोनों का इसमें कंपोनेंट है, इसमें कोऑपरेशन है. ओनली देन दिस स्कीम विल बिकम सक्सेसफुल. इट इज नाइदर entirely the duty of the state government or the central government, so it's a kind of collaborative kind of scheme. West Bengal has planned to provide 100% tap connections to all the households in this state by 2023-24, and this is, by the way, not just specific to West Bengal, but is specific to all the states that are trying to implement this scheme, because the ultimate goal of Jal Jeevan Mission is to provide 100% tap connection to all the households in the rural areas by 2023-24, and this is something that you should remember. It's an absolute must for you to remember, a very important fact for you to remember, because UPSC is naturally, is very fascinated by these schemes. every year without fail it asks you at least about one particular scheme, and this is why this scheme becomes very important for us, also because of the impact that is the scheme would have, the kind of impact it will have in making the lives of the people easy, right? So let's talk about some of the facts related to this scheme. It was launched in August 2019. Government of India launched this. Naturally, it was launched at the central level, and states also have a participation. And how do states have a participation? Naturally, states में ही यहाँ पे implement होगा. And the second thing is that the states are contributing 50% of the funds. This is for the general category states. 50% of the funds are being chipped in. So what does it suggest? It suggests that there is something called as cooperative federalism over here. Can't we see elements of cooperative federalism? That is, the center and the states are coming together to make things happen at the ground, to make sure that the socio-economic condition of the people is being uplifted. So it is this social example, and by the way, this would also help the people in raising their life standards, living standards. If the women from household, they have to walk 10 miles a day and have to spend hours altogether in fetching water only, then that is naturally a lot of waste of time, a lot of waste of human potential that can instead be channelized towards some economic aspect, right? And that is why we see that this particular scheme also has economic spin-offs, economic benefits. So 50% contribution by central government, 50% by state governments. You need to remember, by the way, this composition of funding pattern. And as for the Himalayan and northeastern state, and basically these are also the special category states, as you would know perhaps that special category states में भी ये लोग आते हैं, all these Himalayan states and northeastern states. There the 90% of the funds would be contributed to by the government of India, and the 10% contribution would be from the state themselves because of their not so robust finances by virtue of their geographical location. All right, so you have to find out more about SCS, how the significance of SCS states, special category states, that is reduced over the last couple of years, and why it is reduced. So this is your homework. You have to find more about it, and I hope you are aware about this. If you are not aware about it, please do check out more about this. Also, what is the purpose of this scheme? What is the target? It envisages supply of 55 liters of water per person per day. Kitna? 55 liters of water per person per day to every rural household by 2024. That means it is talking about providing tap water connection to every rural household, और वहां पे भी कितना कोटा रहेगा इंडिविजुअल का? Envisages supply 55 liters of water per person per day. So this is something that you need to remember. And also it would be focusing on integrated demand and supply management of supply side management of water. So this scheme is not only about providing water, but is also about the supply side. Because when you don't have enough supply of water, can you imagine how you would be able to provide water to your citizens, be it in the rural areas or be in the urban areas? We have seen that a lot of cities have grappled with regard to the supply of water, and we have very terrific examples in front of us, like Bangalore was grappling some years ago, and I'm sure they're still grappling. Shimla, a few years ago, it had this big crisis in summer with regard to the supply of this running water. And that is why, guys, it's not just important for us to be able to provide water, but also to work on the supply side management. And that is why under this scheme there is also this component of managing local water resources, and how to manage local water resources by making sure that the groundwater recharge is done. Groundwater recharge, it has this component of groundwater recharge. Then it has the component of rainwater harvesting, creating those structures, smaller otherwise, like small dams, etc., that would be enabling and providing water to the rural households. So supply side में focus करेंगे इन चीज़ों में, and when we have enough water to supply, or rather water just enough to supply them the people for a long time in the longer duration, then only we can talk about the demand side. So we have to talk about both demand पे भी and supply पे भी, and this is what the scheme envisages, by the way. Alright, so that was all for the day, guys. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Otherwise, we are done with those 5 important topics, and I'm sure that you benefited from this session, and also there was some takeaway for you. As I said, please make a separate notebook for this, and take down or note down important facts and figures associated with what the topics we are doing in the class, because eventually in the medium term this will, and the long term, by the way, this will serve you really well right before your exam. So you'll have a good compilation by the time we end this series. Alright, so those of you who don't have Gradeup app installed, please do install Gradeup app. Get it on Google Play, wherein you can practice topic wise quizzes and keep attending live classes. Also, with regard to Gradeup Super subscription plan, we have a link given in the description box. You can go to it and take advantage of this fantastic Gradeup Super subscription plan. I'll see you another time, guys. Till then, take care. Thank you so much, Anu. You think that the class was amazing. Thank you so much. And in fact, you guys are amazing because of the kind of response I get from you, and it re-energizes me. It shows that you guys are actually working very, very hard towards achieving your goal, and that goal is to clear UPSC exam. So thank you so much once again, everybody. I'll see you next time. Till then, take care. Have a good day.